Rose stood at the observation deck of the Exodus, her fingers pressed against the transparent aluminum viewport. Behind her, the last ember of Earth glowed, a dying star where humanity had been born, lived, and ultimately been betrayed. The blue marble was now a memory, consumed by the collective's weapons when humanity refused to kneel, still watching. Alex's voice cut through her thoughts as he approached, carrying 2 ration packs. Someone should witness it, Rose replied softly, even if it's just the end. Alex handed her a pack and stood beside her, his jaw tight. It's not the end, it's a beginning. The Galactic Collective had made a grave miscalculation. For 3 centuries, they had ruled the stars with an iron fist. 47 species bound by their laws, their trade routes, their military doctrine. Humanity had been the 48th species they contacted, and the first to refuse their generous offer of protection. Protection, Rose thought bitterly. They meant subjugation. The Collective had given humanity a choice: surrender sovereignty, dismantle their fleet, and become a client species, or face eradication. Earth's leaders had tried diplomacy. They had tried reason, but the Collective didn't negotiate with species they considered inferior. So the Collective sent their armada. They had expected humanity to crumble. Instead, they found something they had never encountered in their 1,000-year reign: a species that would rather burn than bend. Rose, you need to see this. Alex pulled up a holographic display from his wrist console. Data streamed across the air between them, reports from the fleet scattered across 100 systems. What am I looking at? Fleet Admiral Chun's final report. Every ship, every colony, every human outpost received the same order 3 days ago. Alex's eyes met hers, and something fierce burned in them. Protocol Exodus. No farewell, no warning, just ... leave. Rose's breath caught. All of them, every single one. 4 billion humans, gone from known space in 72 hours. Alex swiped through the reports. The agricultural colonies abandoned their crops mid-harvest. The mining operations left equipment worth trillions. The diplomatic stations evacuated without explanation. We just ... vanished. The Collective must be confused. Confused. Alex laughed, but there was no humor in it. Rose, they're terrified. He pulled up another file. Intercepted communications from Collective intelligence. Rose read through them, her eyes widening with each line. The Collective had been so focused on destroying Earth, they hadn't noticed what humanity had been doing in the centuries since first contact. While the Collective demanded submission, humanity had been studying them, learning their technology, understanding their weaknesses, and building. The humans hadn't just been establishing colonies, they had been preparing for this exact moment. How many ships did we lose defending Earth? Rose asked quietly. 237. Alex's voice was heavy. Out of 12,000. Rose's head snapped toward him. 12,000. The Collective knew about maybe 3,000 of our vessels. The rest. Alex gestured to the viewport where hundreds of human ships were forming into formation around the Exodus. We built in dark space. Hidden shipyards in asteroid belts, in nebulae, in places the Collective never thought to look. Why didn't we use them to defend Earth? Alex was quiet for a moment. Because Earth was bait. Rose Admiral Chen knew we couldn't win a conventional war. Not against an empire that's been conquering for a millennium. So we let them think they won. We let them destroy our homeworld while every human in the galaxy disappeared into the dark. Rose felt her blood run cold. What are we doing? What the Collective never expected. What no other species has ever done. Alex pulled up a star chart. Red markers appeared across dozens of systems. We're not running away. We're repositioning. The markers began to move, converging on key Collective systems, supply depots, communication relays, trade the infrastructure that held the empire together. The Collective rules through fear and dependence, Alex continued. Every client species relies on their protection, their technology, their trade networks. But those networks have a weakness. He zoomed in on a junction system. Us, humanity, operated the asteroid mines that supplied their shipyards. We managed the logistics networks that moved their goods. We were the engineers who maintained their deep space relays. Rose understood, and we just left, taking everything we learned with us, and leaving behind a few surprises. Alex grinned, but it was predatory. Every system we abandoned, we sabotaged. Nothing obvious the Collective won't notice for weeks. But when they do, he trailed off, pulling up simulations. Rose watched as the projected supply chains collapsed. Trade routes broke down. Communication networks failed. The vast Collective infrastructure began to fracture like glass under stress. How long? She whispered. 6 months until they start feeling it. A year until their empire starts fragmenting. 2 years until their client species realize the collective can't protect them anymore. Alex closed the display. And then we return. To rebuild. To judge. His voice was steel. The collective made one fatal mistake. Rose. They thought we were like the other species. They conquered dependent, afraid, unable to survive without their system. But humans, we don't need permission to exist. We don't need their infrastructure. We built civilization from nothing once. We can do it again. Rose looked out at the fleet, thousands of ships carrying humanity's remnant. Not refugees, she realized. An army in waiting. The other species will see what we did, she said. They'll learn that's the point. Alex moved beside her, both of them watching Earth's final light fade. For 1,000 years, the collective taught the galaxy one lesson. Resistance is futile. Today, humanity taught a different lesson. What's that? That the only thing more dangerous than humanity at war, ... Alex's reflection in the viewport showed a smile sharp as a blade. ... Is humanity departed? The Exodus's engines hummed to life, joining the chorus of 12,000 ships. In perfect silence, in perfect coordination, humanity slipped into the dark between stars. No farewell broadcast, no final transmission, no warning of their return. Behind them, the collective searched empty colonies and abandoned stations, slowly realizing what they had unleashed. They had destroyed humanity's homeworld, but they had forged humanity into something far more dangerous, a species with nothing left to lose, and everything to reclaim. In the observation deck, Rose pressed her hand against the glass one final time. For Earth, she whispered. For judgment, Alex replied, and humanity disappeared into the night, leaving behind only silence and the slow, inevitable collapse of an empire that forgot the oldest rule of creditors: never corner something that can learn.